As a coach, you're always collecting data. Thinking back to 15 years ago when I started coaching, it was all about just batting averages and on-base percentage. Like that in itself was data that we used to create a lineup and decide who's going to play. It's the hardest decision as a coach is to decide who's going to play because you love all your kids. Whenever I saw the way that Blast collected data and then made it so usable, I was in, like immediately in.
What Blast is doing is providing an opportunity for softball players at the highest or the lowest levels to become the best version of themselves.
Say ball now. There you go. There you go. We make an adjustment. Good job.
When I'm planning out my practices, I'm trying to figure out how can I get my kids quality swings? How can we work on how they're moving? How can they get some feedback on if the way they're moving is correct? So when I do it, I'm planning it out into small groups. When we have front toss, we want 2 front toss stations. So the kids come up and they'll have their sensors charged and we'll come up. And so we always have the apps out. And so we would pick out what metric we want to really sort of hit hard, maybe attack angles. And we would give them the goals. So for us, we're always looking at an attack angle that's in the double digits, somewhere between 10 and 20. And then based on the strengths of the players, we kind of narrow that down to maybe 10 to 12, 12 to 15, 15 to 20, based on the individual kid. And so the kids are just standing behind the screen, and we love to video. For us, video is huge. It allows us to see how our numbers are getting there as opposed to just being raw numbers. And so then they will, the person on deck will just read out, just say whatever it is. So if we're doing bat speed's 45, then they'll just say 45. And so the player immediately gets it. It also, for me, allows my players a time to digest what just happened, regroup, and then work on the next swing. As opposed to, I'm going to get 5 swings as fast as I can. It allows them to recreate a little bit of what they're going to do in a game. You took a swing, good or bad, you need to analyze the swing quickly, not forever. Figure out what your sign is for the next pitch, come up with your plan, and let's regroup again. We've got 2 players hitting, we've got everybody else behind, they're maybe working some drills. As they rotate to the back, they've now got video that immediately all the individual swings are spliced for us. So once those individual swings are spliced, they can then look at each one individually as they're waiting to come back. And they can look at it and say, oh, I know what you're talking about. Or, sometimes they say, you're telling me these things, I don't necessarily know what you're saying. Can you help me? And so then we have another coach right there, oftentimes myself, that's able to say, do you have any questions about what we were saying? And so then we can slowly go through those videos with them, say, right, here's what we're talking about. And then it just sort of gives us that immediate feedback. When you get immediate feedback, it allows them to immediately work on correcting. And so it immediately, in their brain, they process what just happened. So it's not muscle memory. It's the ability for their brain to process the situation and self-organize during those situations that they're in so that they can then change how they move and how their brain processes them.
So coaching is all about communication. And whenever you use something like Blast, you get to communicate on a different level. So Josh uses all of these terms, and the first time I've watched him hit with someone for the first time, it's like, okay, so when I say this, this is what I mean. When I say this, this is what I mean. It's always that. Blast allows this whole new level, so now you get to speak in numbers. And so the communication level is it's as high level as you get. I mean, math is the universal language, right? And so he gets to use that language to communicate with these high level athletes. And it works from like 12-year-olds all the way through college athletes.
For me, the beauty, so Blast just rolled out the sessions. They've added where you can just describe what type of session you have. And so you can talk about tee work, front toss, in-game, bunch of different options for what your session actually entails, which is huge because now when you're looking at those metrics and you're looking at it, you actually know what was the setting. So if a kid's swinging off a tee and they have great metrics, and then they go to the game and they can't replicate those metrics, you wouldn't have known that prior. It's just been everything mixed together. So it's huge because what we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge the gap between the swings you take in practice, the swings you take off a tee, the swings you take off a front toss, and try to make sure that's the same swing you're getting off when you're in the game. And so we always talk about, for me, I'm always talking about, we got to try to get your best swing off as much as we can in game. And so if they can only get, if right now they're struggling to get that best swing off in the game, we can look at the metrics now and know why. Anytime we're swinging at an actual ball, I want the sensors on. And so then it allows me to capture whole data for everyone. And so I can then go back on the back end and kind of look at general trends within my team. I can create groups, rosters within my roster. So I can take my power hitters and I can put them in a roster and look at how those numbers are for them. I can take my slappers. And so oftentimes people always want to talk about slappers and how does this help them. They're still looking for angles. One of the other things I love about the Blast Connect, the portal, is being able to analyze swings on the video. So it's awesome because I've got kids from North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, different states, and so when they're hitting during the week, I can just quickly analyze. I go into the analyze mode. I figure out what watch it a couple times, and then it just sort of text my voice just comes over, and so I can analyze the swing, let them know what I'm seeing going on. About a 5-10 minute clip. Send that back, share it with them, so it goes into their portal and mine. So we have this this database of where they were. We can watch it over the course of time and see how they've progressed. The goal for us is, to me, as travel ball coaches, is give them the power of owning their swing. It's their swings. Let them figure out how they can use this sensor, use this metric, use these metrics together to not create their swing, but to see what their swing is. I tell everybody, you're not going to create your swing with the sensor. The sensor is going to tell you what your swing is, not what you think it is, not what you hope it is, but what it is. This is what you do. And so, even the 3D tracer, if you don't video, you got the 3D tracer, you take a swing and you're like, well, I don't think I swung down. You immediately pull up that 3D tracer and you've got the avatar swinging and you're like, oh, I didn't think I did that. Yeah, you did. And so it's not so much I think you're doing this, you are doing this. To me, if you can make it about facts, not opinion, it immediately validates what you're trying to get across to them.
What I've seen is that the game keeps getting faster, the kids keep getting better trained. You're gonna mess up, you're gonna make mistakes, and it's all about how you respond to those mistakes.
For a 10-year-old to be able to say, look, I'm using the same sensor that Lauren Chamberlain's using in that game, and I'm getting the same metrics, and to see her metrics occasionally and compare them, it just provides empowerment to those young ladies. It provides them resources that they're going to feel like I'm doing the same thing the greatest in the world are doing right now. And so it's huge. I think it builds confidence in those kids. I think it builds ownership in them. And I think the sooner that everybody gets on board and learns how to incorporate this at whatever level they want to incorporate it, the better.